Hello and welcome to another session on human resource management from Naipunya Business School. Today we will be discussing about human resource management module 5 part 2. Myself Dr. Jacob PM, Director Naipunya Business School. Now in module 5 it deals with compensation management and grievance redressal, and we have 5 parts, and this is the second part which deals with principle of wage administration, wage systems, state regulations in wage administration. In HR terms, wage refers to a defined amount of money given to an individual for work or services which is given on a daily or a weekly basis. In the last class, I was talking about compensation management, and I was referring mostly about salaries. Now, there is a difference between wage and salary. I'll come to that later, but to just give you a brief account, we are talking about, when we talk about wage, we say that it's for a service which is given on a daily or a weekly basis. The payment made for it is considered to be as wages. So that is what it says, and it can be, this wage is influenced by variety of things. Some of them are the demand and supply of the market, labor market. Market traditions can be there, rules and policies in an existing in a particular location or in country also. Okay, so let us look what is the difference between wage and salary. Now, salary is a fixed pay that individual draws for the done work by him on an annual basis, whereas wage refers to hours spent in completing certain amount of work and may be measured on in a day or a weekly basis. Now, as far as skills are concerned, even though the PowerPoint it is mentioned that both of it is like salary requires skilled person and wage requires semi-skilled or unskilled. I do not fully agree to that. Even in wages also there are skilled personnel are required. Now, type of cost: in salary it is fixed cost, whereas in wage it is variable, because based on the skill or based on the nature of the work, the where the rate of wage also may change. Rate of payment: in salary it is a fixed rate, whereas in wage the rate may change, as I've already told you, based on skill or based on the demand or based on the type of work that a person is doing. Now, payment cycle in salary is monthly, whereas in wage it is daily. Basis of payment: performance basis for salary, whereas in wage it is hourly basis. Paid to whom: salary is paid to employees and wage is usually given to laborers. And nature of work: salary mostly administrative or office work, but whereas in wage it can be manufacturing or maybe contract also. And what are the clear resultant areas also? You would find that in salary it is measured, whereas in wage it is not measured, because it is usually a temporary appointment and doesn't require much of a performance evaluation, and key result areas also may not be fixed. Of course, there are certain cases where even key result areas also will be mentioned. Okay, now another, I have got actually three words. I'm sure all of you remember these three words. We have wage, salary, and compensation. I just want to make a difference between these three. As far as wage is concerned, it is paid to blue collar workers, paid daily, weekly, or monthly, paid for jobs which can to some extent be measured in terms of money's worth. So when you give wage, you can actually measure the worth of that particular work. In salary, it is usually paid to white collar workers, paid monthly, paid to employees whose contribution cannot be easily measured. It is not fully true, because we have studied actually performance appraisal, we have studied about evaluations, and as a result, I would say that even employees, white collar employees, also can be measured. May not be a quantitative one, it may be a mix of both quantitative as well as qualitative also. Now, what is compensation? Now, compensation includes everything, includes like allowances, benefits, leave facilities. We have seen, direct and indirect type of compensation. All those things will come under compensation. Okay. Now, we will move on to the objectives of wage administration. Now, the main objective of wage administration is to establish and maintain an equitable wage system. Now, when you talk about equitable wage system, it says that the type of work based on the type of work, the type of wages also should be there. It is suitable to the type of work. So it should be an equitable wage system. This is so because only a properly developed wage system enables an employer to attract and obtain people of required caliber for doing their work. Because based on, as we have already mentioned, skills or competence. So based on that, you need to give actually a maybe a type of variable pay also to people who are skilled or competent. The wage system should be duly aligned with the organizational need and should also be flexible enough for modification in response to change. Whenever there is a change, the wage system also should be able to change. So it has to be flexible. Now let us look at other things. Like beach has listed, other beach has listed around 5 objectives of wage administration. He says that the objectives of wage administration is one, to recruit workers for a firm. So, like if you pay good wages, you'll get good workers. Okay. So it is for recruitment, one, to control payrolls. How many people are working? What type of work they do? So all these things are included in the payroll. So we require actually wage administration to satisfy workers and reduce the incidence of grievances to satisfy workers. So worker satisfaction is important, the type of wage that you pay, and based on that, if the workers are satisfied, the incidence of grievances also will get reduced. To motivate workers to perform better. Now if you are a skilled person, you can pay better. As a result, it gives a motivation also for those people who are ready to perform better. To maintain a good public image. So when you pay good wages, then you get a good brand name also as far as the organization is concerned. Other objectives are enable an organization to have the quality and quantity of staff it requires, both in quality as well as quantity. Maintain equity and fairness in compensation for similar jobs. So the type of work that you do, based on that you pay for it. So equity and fairness are also important. Achieve flexibility in the system to organizational changes. So even the wage also should be flexible and make the system cost effective also. At the same time, for the work done, it should be cost effective. It should not be higher or it should not be lower, but it should be cost effective, or in other words, productivity should be. Now, what are the principles of wage administration? Now, wage administration has been guided by certain basic principles. So let us look into what are those principles are. The first principle says that wage policy should be carefully developed, having in mind the interest of management, the workers, the consumers, and the community. Now, interest of all the different stakeholders have to be there. One, we have the management. We cannot have a higher cost or a lower cost. So based on that, you have to, because you have to also see that the person is productive. Then the workers should not be dissatisfied or should not have any grievances. The consumers, the people who consume or use your skills, for them also it is important. And the community also, especially, the person should have a reasonably good wage so that, he enjoys actually brand image also in the community. Now there should be a definite plan to measure that differences in pay for jobs that are based upon variations in job requirements such as skill, effort, responsibility, or working conditions, mental and physical requirements. So in second principle of wage administration says that there should be difference in pay for jobs. Not all jobs are paid, all the jobs are not paid the same amount, but definitely there should be a difference based on the skill, based on the effort, based on the responsibility, based on the working conditions, and the mental and physical requirements also. There should be an equity. The third principle says the general level of wages should be reasonably in line with the prevailing in the labor market. So general level of wages should be reasonably in line what the industry gives. So we cannot actually reduce it, or we should not even increase it also. Whatever the industry gives, we should be at par with that. The plan should be carefully distinguished between jobs and employees. Example, a job carries a certain wage rate and a person is assigned to fill at that rate. So when you do a job analysis, you will understand as to what is the type of person that is required. And based on that only, you have to plan it. So the wage rate also has to be planned based on job evaluation as well as job analysis. And it should be distinguished also, because the person, we look at a certain person, and we should also be looking at what is the cost that we should be there, and both of them should tally with each other, or both of them should be correlated. Otherwise, there can be an imbalance. Job evaluation must be done scientifically. We have, I think it doesn't require any explanation. Then, wage policies should be clearly expressed in writing to ensure uniformity and stability. Now, this is something that we need to do, especially in the organized sector. It has to be written clearly, otherwise, it can lead to complications later, either from the government side or maybe from the trade union side also. Wage decisions should be checked against the carefully formulated organizational policies and plans. So, what is the organization policy? How much you should pay? What position that is to be a person has to be placed, and the plans also has to be looked into before you take any decisions on wage. Management should see to it that employees know and understand the wage policies. It should be easily understandable. Wage policies should be evaluated from time to time to make certain that they are adequate for the current need. So there should also be a evaluation as far as wage policy is concerned on a yearly basis or maybe on a half yearly basis to understand the market, and based on that if changes can be made. Work performance should be periodically checked. How what is the type of work. Now sometimes you would have recruited a person for doing a particular work, and when the technology has come in, maybe that work would have reduced, or the work would have, or he may not be competent for that. So we have to check the work performance to find out whether the person has got the skill or not, or whether he is highly paid, whether he has got sufficient work. All these things should be checked periodically. Wage administration plan and program should be in conformity with social and economic objectives of the country, like attainment of equality of income distribution and controlling the productivity trends also. Now you also have to look into what is the into a bigger picture, especially in the organization or maybe in the company sector. What is the type of work which is happening, and what is the type of income that you are giving? All those things should be also checked into. We cannot actually reduce or increase it based on our interest. It should be based on even the economic policies of the country also. Now, what are the different types of wage systems? There are essentially two types of wage systems. One is called as time wage system, and the other is called as piece wage system. I am sure all of you know about it. Now, time is how much time that an employee spends in the workplace, and it is like it can be a day, a week, a month. All these things can be considered as time wage system. And the advantages are that clear and simple because you are only measuring the time. Provides guaranteed minimum wages are also there because when you spend time, certain minimum wages is there. Quality is maintained because there is time. Haste is avoided. You don't have to rush through the work. So like machinery also doesn't get wasted. Then suitable for industries where measuring output is impossible, especially in qualitative type of jobs. Ideally to have time wage system. Workers are not exploited, so that relationship between manager or the supervisor and the employee is not disturbed. Workers are motivated to work efficiently and reduces labor turnover rate also. So wage system has gotten certain. Now let us look at what are the disadvantages of this time wage system. The first one is it fails to motivate efficient and industrious workers because there is no different, there is no time being measured. It is always measuring only it is measuring only their presence. As a result, it doesn't motivate actually efficient industrious workers. Even if they complete it well ahead of time, also they don't get any benefit out of that. Work needs supervision because since you cannot measure actually what is the type of work that a person is doing, it requires actually supervision, and the cost of supervision also increases. Possibilities of the worker being negligent towards worker production because he may think that whether I do it better or not, I get the same salary, so there is no he need not hurry, and possibly it can lead to negligence also. Conflict and jealousy between efficient and inefficient workers crop up. Now those people who do a good job may feel that they are doing all the work, and others are not contributing. So there is always a possibility of conflict and jealousy between workers who are efficient and inefficient. Then it nurtures the evil of shirking work also. Now maybe even if I don't go to office also, I need not worry because there is somebody to take care of the work. Now and it cannot be considered as a progressive wage system, because it has got these type of advantages where there is no motivation, there is no distinction between efficient and inefficient workers, and it can lead to grievances, or it may lead to even conflicts also. Now the next one is piece weight system. So earlier we spoke about time, piece. Now in piece weight system, time is not a matter. It depends upon the output what the employee provides. So this is directly related to actually the skill, production capacity, speed, precision, all those things, and it is called as payment by result also. And here the advantages are worker skill is taken into account. Okay, if he is skilled, he can do it faster. It doesn't require any supervision because the person is already motivated and is ready to perform. Efficient workers are given more incentives and rewards. Easy to estimate the cost per unit. Easy to calculate wages because you work on piece rate, and more production and better results. And this may lead to actually increase of productivity also as far as the organization is concerned. Now, so let us look at what are the disadvantages also. Quality is not maintained because the worker is in a hurry to complete. He may not maintain actually quality. The second one is workers intentionally ignore safety rules, inviting accidents also. In a hurry, even they may ignore even safety rules also, which can cause accidents. And then workers are paid different wages with a wide gulf among the leading to less precision, lessening of the morale, and industrial disputes also. Somebody gets a higher one because he does the job fast, and the other person may not get it. As a result, it can lead to less precision and lessening of the morale and industrial disputes also. Then trade union doesn't want it, because it is performance oriented. If there is no performance, they may lose their job. Sense of job satisfaction is less among workers, because they are only working continuously to produce results. And then administrative expenses are high, and then workers neglect the health also to put in their maximum efforts. Workers will feel a sense of insecurity also because health is also in jeopardy. Now, what are the factors influencing wage system? Now, any wage system is influenced by a host of factors which are internal as well as external also. And let us look at what are those factors. Demand and supply. The labor market conditions or demand and supply are operating in a national and local level. And because of that, sometimes the labor cost will be on a higher side, and sometimes it's on a lower cost also. Cost of living. When the cost of living increases, naturally, this will have an impact on the wage system also. Trade unions bargaining power. If the trade union is very strong and it has got a higher bargaining power, naturally, you will find that the wage system will be changed, or it will be on a higher rate. As a result, productivity also can be sacrificed. Government legislation. Now, wage rates are subjected to basically government legislation. There are different acts, and one of the prominent acts is basically the Minimum Wages Act of 1948. And we will be learning about the other government legislation also as you come across across the legislations in wages. The psychological and social factors are also there. Especially, you would find that the compensation is considered as a measure of success in life. As a result, there is always a possibility that like people would like to work in organizations which pay them better. Then economy also, if the economy is a very strong economy, naturally better has to be provided. If the economy is weak, then you cannot pay it also, because again it all depends upon the returns what the organization gets when they sell the final product. Technological development also has thrown out actually employees out of many companies. Especially unemployment has increased, and when unemployment increases, actually the wage rates also fall down. So technological development also hinders basically the wages position in prevailing market rates. Now prevailing market rates also are there. You cannot actually give them a lower pay or a higher one. We have to always look at the market rate and pay them. Otherwise, it can deteriorate the situation in the company also. Ability to pay. The enterprises should have the ability to pay. So that also is an influence on the wages. Job requirements. Basic wages depend largely on the difficulty level and physical and mental effort required in a particular job. So the relative worth of a job can be estimated through job evaluation. That also is important to do a job evaluation. Based on that, you have to look at the difficulty level, and based on that, you have to calculate the wages. Management strategy also, what are the strategy that the company pursues also is important as far as remuneration is concerned, and performance of productivity is also rewarded with a pay rise also. So in that case also, performance also matters. Seniority is another one. Most of the unions feel that higher the seniority, the pay also should increase. So, but there are issues also, because Seniority will be there, but the skill may not be there. So that is again an issue that you would find as far as wages are concerned. Experience also, usually if you have a good experience, yes, great experience, long experience, yes, good, but at the same time there can be people with experience but without skill also. Potential also, based on the young managers or upcoming young managers, based on the potential you have to pay them, then only we will be able to keep them in the organization and reduce attrition. And regional variations are also there. I'm sure that you know that Kerala, especially in Kerala, pays one of the highest wages. As a result, you would find that many people migrate from other states and come to Kerala and work. Similarly, we also migrate to other countries on because of the regional variations. Now let us look at what are the state regulations in wages. There are certain legislation, as I've already told you, there are certain regulations as far as wages is concerned, and I am actually giving you around 5 important state regulations in wages. And the first one is Payment of Wages Act 1936, the Industrial Dispute Act of 1947, the Minimum Wages Act of 1948, the Equal Remuneration Act of 1976, and the Payment of Bonus Act of 1965. Let us look into that. Payment of Wages Act of 1936 came into force on 28th March of 1936, and this covers actually people whose wages are below 1,600 per month, and remuneration should be paid according to the contract, and even HRA also should be based on that, on the contract. Annual increments should be there, also that also has to be mentioned. Compensation to workmen in closing down of undertaking. If the organization is closing down, then naturally compensation has to be paid, and claim payable to the employee also should be there. If you are terminating the employee, you have to give the claim also, 1 month or 2 months or 3 months salary if you are terminating. Similarly, if you are resigning from the job, it has to be paid towards the company also. So this covers actually the payment of wages. Now there is something called as Industrial Dispute Act, which is also very powerful, especially in Kerala. And here actually it says that there should be committee consisting of employers and workmen to promote measures for securing and perceiving amity and good relation between the employer and workmen and between the management also. Second one, it says that ID Act also says that there should be conciliation, board of conciliation, courts of inquiry, labor courts, all these things should be established. And the ID Act also provides that an employer who is planning to close down the industrial establishment should give a notice at least 90 days before, saying that what are the reasons why he is planning to close down. So these are all being covered in Industrial Dispute Act of 1947. Then the Minimum Wages Act of 1948. It says that especially it is for at least 1,000 workers if it is there. Especially you have to have a certain minimum hours of working day. All those should be planned. So hours of working day should be fixed. Break should also be provided. At least 1 day off from an entire week should be given. 6 days work, 1 day should be off. Payment for the day, even for the rest also should be paid. Because it is a continuous one, it has to be paid. Then, if an employee is involved in work that categorizes services, 2 or more scheduled employment, then the employee's wage will include respective wage rate of all work for the number of hours dedicated. Now, if the employee is working in another category also, the work that he does over there also should be calculated. If he goes to work in another department, from the department also, the whatever wages are there from the department also has to be added in addition to what he is doing right now. Also, it is mandatory for the employer to maintain records like attendance, register, leave, all those things, wages, receipts, all those things have to be there. And appropriate governments will define and assign. The state government will define and assign the task of inspection and appoint labor inspectors for checking all these details. Then there is something called as Equal Remuneration Act of 1976. Here actually there is no discrimination. It talks about actually discrimination based on caste or gender or any such reasons. There should not be any discrimination. It talks about you can just read it. It talks about even whether it is the case of remuneration or whether it is the case of recruitment. There should not be any discrimination against gender or against caste or religion or any basis. Especially this has been the condition of women, where earlier in India women used to be paid less, but now the Equal Remuneration Act says that men and women should be paid equal. And again, the another one is Payment of Bonus Act of 1965, where there is an entitlement of bonus to be paid. 8.33 of percentage of the wages or salary should be paid as far as the employee is concerned. and like this should be this can include even your DNLS allowance, but other allowances are not there. Salary or basic salary plus DA should be included. Other allowance need not be counted in this. So 8.33% is actually one extra month. So of salary has to be paid, not just 12 months. The 13th month is given as the bonus. Bonus should be paid within the 8 months. That means, like every year, within 8 months, bonus has to be paid in that particular accounting year. Whether you have a loss or profit or loss, if the company is in a profit or loss, it doesn't matter. On dismissal of fraud, you need not actually pay the bonus also, especially in fraud, riotous, violent behavior, theft, misappropriation, sabotage. In this case, you need not pay bonus. Bonus also need not be paid to employee for misconduct or causing financial loss to the employer. So this is on the Payment of Bonus Act 1965. I hope this is not a very big module. It talks about wages, and I hope it is clear to you. If you have got any clarifications, you can come back to me. And all these legislations have been made very small because it is vast. And if you are interested in reading, all these things are available in the textbooks also. I would request you to understand it, especially because I will not be able to cover the entire legislation through these slides. So it is left to you to read and understand what are the legislations and the latest developments also, and the addendums which is added over the period of time. So thank you very much for being with me as far as this class is concerned. So once again, wish you all a happy Vishu, and then looking forward to your quiz also tomorrow morning. Thank you very much.